joining us for the 2-minute drills. I'm Aram, Tolegian, joined on my far left by Fred Robledo, and in the middle, Steve Ramirez. We're talking about two big games for the Pasadena area this week, both taking place in the Pasadena area.
Tiger Ramirez to you.
Right. Right in the heart of Pasadena will be a key Pacific League opener for Burbank and Pasadena High School. Burbank 2-1. This is a semifinal team from last year that's had a little injury issue with some key players so far this season. But they're 2-1 right now, and PHS 1-2. That's the Pacific League opener coming up, and in a second we'll talk about Los Altos 2-2 going to Monrovia, which is 3-1. Both teams coming off a loss last week. But guys, let's start with Burbank and PHS. As you know, Freddie, I started hyping
big on PHS.
Yeah, PHS, and it looked pretty good, for a large part of that LaSalle game.
Yeah.
PHS was 1-0, and then they lose that LaSalle game in overtime, and you're still saying, all right, hey, this team's...
Because you thought LaSalle was really great, too.
Yeah.
Right, but then I said that if PHS is the old PHS, their next game after LaSalle, they'll come out flat and shoot themselves in the foot and lose the game, and that's exactly what they did at Artesia. Now they've had 2 weeks off to think about it.
Yeah, and they're getting to the league, and these teams from Burbank, Burroughs and Burbank, they're no joke. They've been pretty legitimate the last few years. So
especially Burbank.
Yeah, to start off like this, I mean, PHS, you can't. I don't know. They have an injury situation right now, Aram. Are they pretty healthy, PHS?
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
I mean,
but what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a game. I mean, Steve, you've seen them already, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they can't afford to start off 0-1.
Well, I mean, this is, they're playing one of the top teams in the Pacific.
This is probably the league favorite.
Them and Muir,
Even at 0-3, you still think?
Yeah.
Okay.
When Muir gets healthy,
right.
With their athletes, they're going to kind of rise to be one of the top first or second place teams, I think, in that league. So if they lose this game, it's not like, and this is no disrespect to an Arcadia or it's not like losing to Arcadia or Glendale or even a Hoover.
Yeah.
You
still got those games to come up and get healthy.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. PHS guys, there's no denying they are improved. They are an improved product. There can be no denying that. They do have some legitimate, talented players out there on the field, like QB George Reyna and receiver Tyrick Adams, both of whom Stevie has seen.
Yeah.
So they're not without hope in a game like this. I mean, they are bringing guns to a gunfight, so to speak. But you wonder about the rest of the.
Way to describe.
Well, you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight, Freddie.
Yeah,
so you wonder about how they stack up though 1 through 11. When their defense is on the field or when their offense is on the field against Burbank. It's a tall order, but this is a great way to start league because my goodness, if PHS wins, the world's their oyster. At least going forward, I mean, they would have a real shot at making the playoffs, which would be interesting. I mean, I don't know how else to put it than that. But so far, all they've accomplished is that win over South El Monte. I mean, that's technically all they have.
Yeah,
and a good game against LaSalle and a loss, and
They've obviously got a lot to prove still. I mean, their preseason right now isn't what they thought it would be. Some of these losses that they've had, PHS, their talent level is too good to lose to some of these teams. I mean, it just is.
Well, to lose to Artesia is really head scratching.
You just wonder with that talent when they're gonna put it together. I mean,
upstairs.
I mean, you look at the Pacific League, and I look at the Pacific League. I'm talking about the overall demographics of the Pacific League and schools that are football schools. Pasadena Muir should be at the top of that, especially with Arcadia dropping the way that they have, and no disrespect to Burroughs or Burbank, they're good schools, but they're not from a football area like Pasadena.
Right.
So I struggle with that you'd be going to a game like this, and Pasadena probably on paper is a pretty good underdog.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. There's no denying it. Guys, let's pick this game. I mean, I think PHS is kind of like the LaSalle game. I think they can give a better account of themselves in years past. I think they can give even a good account of themselves. I think they could even have a shot to win this thing late if everything breaks absolutely right and their way. But in the end, I'm picking Burbank. They just appear more solid to me. I don't know, Stevie.
Yeah, I think PHS has what they call a puncher's chance in this game,
right?
Where they have the athletes, especially at quarterback with Reina now, to hit some big plays. But they're going up against a team Burbank who, they run that double tight, double wing. Yeah. It's very consistent, and you have to be, it's assignment. You have to play assignment football defensively, and they make very few mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're semifinalists.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve,
another team in that deep Southeast division this year.
So I think on paper, as you look at this game, you're going to have to go with Burbank.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be surprising me if it was as close as the LaSalle game.
Yeah. Wow, I think Stevie put it right. I mean, a puncher's chance is a fair way to describe it, because teams like Mir and PHS, they always have that puncher's chance because they're athletes. There's always a game where they can go big and they can get athletic, and when everything goes right, they can beat teams that they're not supposed to be able to beat.
They better hope that's Friday.
But like Steve said, eventually teams that are more disciplined, teams that play together will wear teams like that. They'll take advantage of their mistakes, of their penalties, and that's what's really killed PHS and to a large extent Mir too over the years. So I'm with you guys. I like Burbank. I won't be shocked if PHS did something crazy here, but you just got to go with Burbank if you're picking this game.
Okay, we're all in agreement there. Now let's move on to the game taking place at Monrovia. This is another Central Division, possible, I guess precursor to a playoff game that may occur later this year. The way things are at, we got a lot of these in the Central Division this year. Teams we might see play each other again at some point this season. It's Los Altos 2-2 at Monrovia 3-1. Let's get into this, guys. I mean, I think Freddie, you've seen Los Altos. I've seen Monrovia. You've seen Monrovia. Stevie, I don't know if you've seen either or.
No, I have. Okay. Just what you guys have told me about.
So you'll be out there on Friday? I'm just kidding.
I'd like to be.
Well, both teams have a lot going for them. I think Monrovia has way more going for it than most Central Division teams. They have speed, they have size, they have toughness, they have a very nice system under first-year head coach Chris Stevens. Freddie, I saw this team on Friday night. I've seen Charter Oak. I think if one of those two teams doesn't win the Central Division, it's because there was some juggernaut out further east, like Kaiser or Summit or a Colony that we didn't know about.
Colony's number one in the division.
Right, okay. Yeah. It's because of that. And I have a hard time believing that Monrovia or Charter Oak aren't better than that. So you know what I think.
I just kind of went out in my ranking this week and I said I don't think Charter Oak is going to lose another football game the rest of the year. But getting to this game right now, I watched Monrovia in week 0 and my thought was way back then was, man, what a ceiling they have because they looked great in the second half, and I saw the athletes, I saw the way they played defense. Los Altos, watched them last week, and there's something there. I mean, things didn't go right for them against Lenore, the same way things didn't go right for Monrovia in certain stretches against St. Francis. I'm still on the fence exactly where I think Los Altos is, because they really were able to shut down Ledora's run game to a large extent. I think their offense is there. They did struggle running the ball, but teams struggle running the ball against Glendora. I mean, that's a team from the Inland Division. So it's going to be interesting to see how Los Altos matches up, because if they can run the ball and kind of make it a move the chains game, that could frustrate Monrovia, who wants to score real quick, who wants to get their offense on the field. I'd be a little concerned about Los Altos, that their speed in the outside, I'm talking about the receivers, can go long in them, and there's that big play possibility, because even though Glendora, they didn't really have the receivers to hook up with the quarterback, I didn't see a lot of athletic guys in the secondary for Los Altos, so that's got to be a concern. They've got to keep that game in front of them, but just based on what I've seen, I think it's a more important game for Los Altos than it is Monrovia, because I've been saying this, and I've probably taken a little heat in the blogs, and I'm sure some of those kids don't like it either. They haven't won a step-up game that I can think of in a long time. We used to say this about Charter Oak. Well, when's the last time Los Altos won a game that you didn't think they were going to win?
They've had some 50-50 games in the past few years.
I'm just saying step-up games
ended up winning.
You didn't think they were going to win. It hasn't happened. Maybe you have to really go back and look, but
I don't have to go back to the game.
We discussed some big games in the past, and they haven't had that. You know, they've got, I think last year, did they get off to a bad start in the league last year, or was it a good start in the league?
Well, they needed that late win in the final week of the season, I think, against West Covina.
Yeah, and West Covina was how was that?
Yeah, and Los Altos won its first round playoff game and then got smoked by Muir in the second round. But you know,
there's potential there. They do have some big guys.
Yeah.
It's a good. You know, Monrovia in that first Central Division test against Bonita smoked them, and Bonita's looked good since that loss.
Yeah.
I mean, that should tell you about how they stack up in the Central.
They're very good.
This is another big test. If they smoked Los Altos after the way that game went back and forth against Glendora, it's just a reason to be more and more convinced that what Aram is saying is right, and that this is a division that's really going to come down to Charter Oak, Monrovia, and maybe that Colony or that one other team that we never get a chance to watch.
Stevie, you know.
Well, just like you know, Los Altos is a physical team, and when they can get that going, they're a tough team to beat. But I mean, if you look at what they, you know, I know it's last year, but that Muir game, they were never really in that game.
The speed gives them problems.
Yeah. And if you know Monrovia, from what I hear from you two guys, Monrovia this year is that type of team that where they can really stretch the field.
And you know what it is that their QB can move around. The Asaf Zamora, he can move around and he can throw on the run, which, you know, buys himself time and he can create big plays with that, especially when their receivers ad-lib downfield and get open. And boy, this is a Los Altos team though. They're physical enough, they're good enough, they're well coached enough for Monrovia to have to get them out of there. They're going to have to get them out of there. Monrovia can't show up deflated off of the St. Francis loss and expect to, you know, be okay in this game, because Los Altos can, at the very least, push teams around. And if Los Altos slows the game down and gets it into a situation where, you know,
they cut the clock in half.
Yeah, they cut the clock in half and Monrovia's opportunities are limited. Keep in mind, Los Altos had that lead on San Dimas late before losing, just the same way Monrovia, you know, played San Dimas very close. Los Altos played them close, and probably had a more better argument as far as that they should have won the game.
Yeah.
So don't get too, you know, caught up or far away. I think this is a good setting for Los Altos to make this a game. I'm going to pick Monrovia though to make one more big play, but I think Los Altos is going to give a very good account.
Yeah,
if you guys want to.
I got.
Waiting for Tyler to go.
Okay, I got Monrovia in this game. Just from what I understand what these two teams are about, and Monrovia that speed is just going to be too much for Los Altos to handle. And you know, also Monrovia, even though they haven't used their running game a lot, with Cameron Johnson, he's another guy that no one's talking about, who's potentially can step up and be tough to stop.
I'm gonna go with Monrovia too. You know, the funny thing about watching Los Altos and Glendora last week is, you know, when you talk about speed, and they have speed, and they're quicker than you think they are, is you're watching that game on grass, and that grass was thick. I took a picture of it. I mean, it
always
was like,
is.
It looked like almost looked like they were.
But they didn't need to do that against Glendora, Fred.
No,
you know, you would do that against Charter Oak and try and slow them down by putting.
I'm not saying that they try to do that. I'm
Well,
just
they
saying
do
that's
that. They do that at Los Altos. They water the field for some reason against speedy teams, and they do grow the grass thick. But you wouldn't think you'd do that against Glendora, who's just as slow as you are.
So,
I mean, you would do
that's
that
what I'm trying
against
to
Charter Oak.
say. You're watching it, and it looks like a slower game, but that had to do a lot with the turf, where it looks kind of slower. Guys can't run their routes right. So
Yeah, because you should have seen them against
maybe
Muir last year on turf.
Yeah.
They were stuck in mud. Los Altos.
Yeah. So I'm stuck in mud.
They were on artificial turf. That's why Muir blew them out.
Yeah.
And Muir had their backup QB, you know, because Day Williams was suspended for the game.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
That field was terrible. You know, the baseball softball fields were even worse. I couldn't find that picture of it. It looked like the desert.
Right. Okay. So we're in unanimous agreement here. Monrovia gets this win. I have a strange feeling this is going to be.
I would love for this to be close.
I think it's going to be an interesting game.
I don't think it will be though.
Fair enough.
At the end of the day, I think it'll be 2 touchdowns at least.
Oh, geez. All right. Okay, so there you have it. 2 good games in the Pasadena area. Burbank at PHS. Los Altos at Monrovia. Get out there and enjoy them.